It's just after midnight on Karachi's coastal highway. The air is heavy with salt and diesel. Waves crash in the dark, their sound swallowed by the roar of passing trucks. This stretch of road is long, lonely, and strangely quiet. Truck drivers call it the ghost lane, because if you drive this highway often enough, you will eventually see her. A woman dressed in red, standing perfectly still by the roadside, her bridal veil fluttering in the night wind. She doesn't move, doesn't wave, doesn't speak, but when your headlights hit her face, she lifts her hand and points toward your truck, toward you. Drivers say she asks one thing in a soft, pleading voice. "Can you take me home? My wedding house is ahead." Most men don't stop. They speed up, reciting prayers under their breath. But some do, out of kindness or curiosity or the strange pull of guilt, and none of them are ever seen alive again. The first reported case was in 2003. A truck belonging to a man named Khalid Hussein was found wrecked 15 miles from Karachi, halfway down a coastal bend known for its blind curve. The cab was crushed. The engine was still running when police arrived, but Khalid wasn't inside. The door was locked from within. His wallet was untouched. There were no footprints on the sand around the crash. Only one strange detail stood out. On the passenger seat, police found a smear of red powder, like Mendy mixed with ash. When they checked the black box camera later, it showed Khalid driving calmly until 12:41 a.m., then a flicker in the rear window, and for 2 frames, just 2, a shape appeared behind him. A woman in a red veil. Locals said they knew her story long before that night. She was a bride from a nearby fishing village. Her wedding car had plunged into the sea decades ago during a storm. No bodies were ever recovered. Since then, drivers passing through that stretch reported the same thing. A woman waving for help. Always at midnight. Always wearing red. A few years later, another driver, a young man named Nabil, recorded what he believed was her ghost. He was streaming a late-night vlog from his truck, joking about the legend. At 12:09 a.m., his dashcam picked up something moving near the road's edge. A figure standing still. He slowed the truck. On the recording, you can hear him say, "Baji, rat ka waqt hai, kahan ja rahi ho?" Then silence. The camera shakes, a faint cry echoes, then static. Nabil's truck was found 2 days later, overturned in a ditch. The cabin door was locked from the inside, the window was cracked open, and a bridal bangle was hanging from the rearview mirror. Over time, the legend of the Bride of Coastal Highway became one of Karachi's most feared ghost stories. Truckers refused to drive that route past midnight. Even the police avoided patrols along that stretch after dark. Yet sightings continued. Always the same description: red dress, bare feet, soft voice. Asking for a ride to her wedding. Some said she was an illusion, a mirage created by coastal mist. Others swore she was real, a spirit trapped between death and the sea, doomed to keep repeating her final journey. But in 2025, something happened that reignited the case. A trucker live-streamed the entire encounter, and this time the ending was caught in full. That's where our investigation begins. It began like every other long-haul trip along the Karachi-Ormara highway. 2 truckers, Irfan and Bilal, were transporting seafood crates to Gwadar. It was late February 2025. The air was thick. Fog rolled in from the sea, and traffic was almost non-existent. They left Karachi around 9 p.m., laughing, playing old Punjabi songs and sharing cigarettes. Their dashcam recorded everything, a habit they'd picked up for safety and insurance. 3 hours later, at exactly 12:06 a.m., the tone of the night changed. The road ahead curved sharply to the right, toward the black outline of the ocean. The mist grew so dense that their headlights seemed to hit a wall. Bilal turned off the music. He said, "Something's moving up there." At first, Irfan thought it was an animal. But as the fog parted, a faint human figure appeared. A woman standing in the center of the road, her head lowered, her red dupatta glowing faintly in the truck's light. "Baji, sida ho jao," Bilal shouted out the window. No reaction. The woman just lifted her face and smiled. Not wide, not manic, just a small, strange smile, like she had been waiting for them. Irfan slammed the brakes. The truck skidded slightly on the wet asphalt, stopping just a few feet from her. The woman didn't move. Then, softly, she said something neither of them expected. "Can you take me home? My wedding house is ahead." Her voice came through the window clearly, even though it was closed. The dashcam recorded it. Bilal whispered, "It's her, the bride." Irfan tried to laugh it off. "Stop joking, man. Maybe she needs help." But his voice shook. The woman stepped closer. Her veil brushed the edge of the hood. Then, without any visible motion, she was gone from the front of the truck. The camera caught her standing by the passenger door. Instantly, like she had teleported. "Let's go," Bilal muttered. He pressed the accelerator. The truck sped forward, but after a few seconds the headlights flickered. The radio went dead. And something knocked twice on the passenger window. They didn't stop until they reached the next petrol station, about 10 kilometers away. Both men jumped out, breathing hard, refusing to look back. The station attendant noticed their pale faces. "What happened?" he asked. Bilal tried to explain, but Irfan cut him off. "Bahai koi ar matsuno. Let's just go home." But curiosity wouldn't let him. When they checked the dashcam later that morning, the footage showed something horrifying. At 12:07 a.m., the woman's reflection appeared clearly in the truck's windshield. Her face was smeared with something dark. Not makeup, not mud. It looked like dried blood. At 12:08, she mouthed something. Frame by frame, when slowed down, it looked like, "You came late." And then she vanished. The footage went viral in a week. Local news channels blurred her face but played the video on repeat. Everyone had a theory. Some said it was a prank. Some believed it was a marketing stunt for a horror film. But one thing silenced the skeptics. 3 days later, Bilal's truck was found wrecked near the same curve where the woman had appeared. The driver's side door was locked from the inside. Bilal was missing. Irfan told police he'd refused to drive with him again after the encounter. He stayed home that night. He said Bilal couldn't sleep for 2 days straight. He kept saying he heard knocking on his window every night. Then, the third night, he decided to go back and apologize. No one saw him again. The investigation revealed something stranger. Bilal's phone was found near the crash. Its camera was still recording. For the first 20 minutes it showed nothing but darkness and highway noise. Then, faintly, a woman's voice whispered, "Don't be afraid. I've been waiting." The sound analyst confirmed it matched the voice from the dash cam. No manipulation. No edits. And here's the part that terrified even the police. At the end of the recording, just before the crash, Bilal said, "Okay, I'll drop you to your house. Tell me where." Then silence. A female voice murmured one final line. "You already passed it." When rescue teams examined the wreck, they found the same red powder on the dashboard, the same as in the 2003 case. Forensic reports couldn't identify it. It wasn't blood, paint, or sand. The chemical composition was unknown organic matter. News anchors called it superstition. But those who drove that route knew better. The sightings always happened between midnight and 1 a.m., always near the same stretch of road, always the same figure, the bride in red. Over the next few weeks, traffic police began noticing something else. Vehicles traveling near that bend would experience radio interference. Some drivers reported their headlights flickering in the exact same minute, 12:07 a.m. A few even said they saw someone standing in their mirrors. Each description matched perfectly. Red dress, covered face, pale hands. The government eventually installed new streetlights and cameras in that section. But within days, the lights began failing one by one. Technicians blamed humidity and salt corrosion. Local drivers said it was her. "She doesn't like the light," said an old man who ran a tea shop near the turn. "They buried her in darkness, and darkness is all she trusts." Irfan disappeared soon after giving his police statement. He wasn't found at home, nor in his village. His truck remained parked outside his house, untouched. Neighbors claimed to hear a woman's voice near the vehicle at night. Soft, calm, calling his name. Police dismissed it as imagination. But a month later, the same officers refused to patrol that section again. Too many unexplained sightings. Too many engine failures and accidents. And in one security recording from a roadside shop at 12:08 a.m., a figure appeared faintly behind a passing truck, walking barefoot on the asphalt, her red veil dragging in the wind. Since then, the locals avoid the highway after dark. No one picks up strangers, and no one stops for anyone in red. But even now, on windless nights when the sea is calm, truckers say they still hear her. A single knock on the window. A woman's voice. "Can you take me home?" And when they look, she's already gone. The police called it a simple highway accident. A crash caused by fatigue, darkness, and perhaps a bad curve. But for those who worked in the Karachi Coastal Division, it was anything but simple. They had seen accidents, yes, but never one with locked doors, no skid marks, and no driver. When Bilal's truck was found, the front was smashed, but the impact didn't explain the silence inside. No blood, no shattered glass, no body, only one faint trace. The red dust across the dashboard and on the inside of the windshield. It glowed slightly under ultraviolet light. Inspector Khalid, a 19-year veteran of the traffic police, was the first to examine the wreck. He had seen many highway deaths, but this one stayed with him. He said the truck felt cold from the inside, as if it had been left in a freezer. Even the steering wheel was wet, though it hadn't rained for days. The CCTV footage from nearby toll booths gave little help. Bilal's truck passed through the checkpoint at 12:04 a.m. No one else crossed that route until 1:37 a.m. And yet the truck was found only a few kilometers beyond that point, fully wrecked, at 12:15. In less than 10 minutes, something had gone terribly wrong. The camera at the toll booth showed one strange thing. As Bilal's truck rolled past, a blurry shadow appeared near the back of the vehicle. It wasn't shaped like a person, more like a veil caught in the wind. For a fraction of a second, it seemed to follow the truck floating alongside before vanishing into the darkness. The technicians called it a compression error. Inspector Khalid didn't believe that. The investigation expanded when a second report came in. A driver named Asghar claimed he saw a red-clad woman walking along the same stretch of road 2 nights later. He slowed down to offer help, but as soon as his headlights hit her, his engine cut out. He said the woman turned her head toward him, though her face was completely covered by a blood-red dupatta. She whispered something, but he couldn't hear the words. Then, as his headlights flickered back on, she was gone. Asghar refused to drive that route again. He said his dashboard smelled like burnt roses for days after. Meanwhile, Inspector Khalid interviewed Irfan's family. The man had been missing for 2 weeks. His wife said he wasn't sleeping. Every night at 12:07 a.m., he would wake up gasping, saying someone was knocking at their window. He even started leaving food outside. For her, he said, though he never explained who she was. One night, Irfan went to his truck, started the engine, and drove away barefoot. The CCTV near his house caught him leaving at 11:59 p.m. He was never seen again. The next morning, police found his truck near the same bend, doors locked, engine running, seatbelt buckled, empty. When the case reached Karachi media, it became a storm. Headlines screamed, "Highway Bride Returns." Truckers haunted by Ghost of Ormara Road. Social media filled with conspiracy theories, from jinn possession to cursed graves beneath the highway. But there was one video that silenced everyone. A trucker named Tanvir, who often streamed his late-night drives, uploaded footage showing something impossible. At 12:06 a.m., a shape crossed the road far ahead, the figure of a woman in red. The camera caught her reflection not in front of the truck but in the side mirror, as if she were walking beside him. Then, for a single frame, she looked directly into the camera lens. Her eyes were dark and glimmered faintly like burning coal. The video was removed within hours. Tanvir's account was deleted. When reporters found him days later, he refused to speak. He said, "She's not a ghost. She's waiting for something." Then he moved out of Karachi entirely. Rumors spread about what the police found after that. Some said they discovered an old grave near the road construction site. A woman's skeleton, her bones wrapped in what remained of a red bridal dress. Others claimed the engineers buried her there decades ago when the new road was built. But official records were silent. No mention of graves, no permission for burial. Only an internal note dated 1993. Red soil disturbance near kilometer marker 37. Continue construction. That was the exact spot where Bilal and Irfan disappeared. Inspector Khalid's final report was strange for a government file. It included no clear conclusion, just an observation. All recorded accidents occurred between 12 and 1 a.m. All drivers claimed to see a female figure, all vehicles found with locked doors, possible psychological effect due to folklore, or something not yet explained. He requested permission to place a camera at kilometer marker 37. The department approved it. The footage was never released, but one officer who reviewed it leaked a short description online under an anonymous account. He said, "At 12:08 a.m., a red light appeared in the middle of the road. A woman in a bridal dress emerged from the fog, looked directly at the camera, then vanished. And exactly 3 seconds later, the camera turned off by itself. After that, no more official investigations were made. The road remained open, but truckers created their own rule, a kind of unspoken code of survival. Rule 1. Never drive that stretch alone after midnight. Rule 2. Never stop for anyone in red. Rule 3. If you hear knocking on your window, don't look." By 2026, people began calling the highway Dulhan Road. Superstitious locals built a small shrine near the curve where the first crash occurred. They left flowers and sweets every Thursday, saying it calms her spirit. But every few months, a new truck wreck appears. Always near the same marker, always locked from the inside. One driver who stopped at the shrine described a chilling detail. He said he found a single red rose lying on the road, fresh and wet with dew. When he picked it up, he noticed the petals were damp. Not from water, but from something darker. Blood. He threw it away immediately. But later that night, when he stopped at a rest area, there it was again. The same rose, placed neatly on his dashboard. He sold his truck the next day. The case faded from headlines. But those who drive the Karachi coastal route still whisper about her. Some say she's not haunting the road. She's guarding it, waiting for someone. Maybe the groom who left her. Maybe the man who killed her. No one knows. Yet every driver agrees on one thing. When you see her, it's already too late. She's not asking for a ride. She's asking for company. The night was heavy with salt air and silence. Rahim's truck crawled past the cliffs, its headlights cutting through mist that swirled like smoke. The same highway where men whispered of the bride who waits. He didn't believe them, until tonight. He first saw her in the mirror, a small flicker of white in the dark, standing motionless beside the road. As he slowed, the shape became clear. A woman in a red bridal dress, soaked and glistening. She raised her hand gently, her bangles clinking, her face hidden behind a red veil. Rahim's heart pounded. His breath fogged the glass. He wanted to drive past, but something deep inside, something cold and unexplainable, made his foot press the brake. The truck came to a slow stop beside her. "Bye," she whispered, her voice soft but trembling. "Please." take me to my wedding house." Rahim nodded without thinking. She climbed in slowly, her wet dupatta brushing against the dashboard. A faint smell of roses filled the cabin. Her hands clutched a small garland of wilted jasmine. He turned to look at her. "Where is your house?" "Just ahead," she said. "You'll see the lights." But there were no lights, only long stretches of sand and sea. The road wound deeper into darkness, and every few minutes Rahim glanced sideways. But she was always still, her head bowed, whispering something he couldn't hear. Then came the first sound, like someone knocking from inside the glove compartment. Once, twice, then again. Rahim froze. "Did you hear that?" he asked. The bride slowly turned her head toward him. Her veil shifted slightly. Beneath it, her lips were blue. "Keep driving," she said. He pressed the accelerator. The truck roared forward. The knocking grew louder. The radio, dead for years, came to life. A woman's voice humming a wedding song from the 1980s. Rahim reached to turn it off, but the knob wouldn't move. "Almost there," the bride whispered. "You'll see the house soon." And then he did. In the distance, faint yellow lights shimmered through the fog. A cluster of glowing lanterns. The outline of a small haveli stood against the night. Rahim's heartbeat eased. "Is that it?" She nodded. "Yes, my wedding house." The truck rolled to a stop. Rahim stepped out, dust sticking to his shoes. The air smelled of wet earth and decay. He looked at the haveli. It was crumbling, its windows shattered, its gates rusted. A single lantern burned above the entrance, swinging gently. When he turned back, the passenger seat was empty. Only the garland remained, now completely fresh, petals glistening as if just plucked. Rahim called out, his voice echoing off the walls. "Bibi, where are you?" Then he heard it. Laughter. Soft at first, then louder, circling him. He ran toward the house. The door creaked open by itself. Inside, the floor was covered in old photographs, yellow and brittle. Every picture showed the same woman in a red bridal dress, smiling beside a man whose face had been scratched out. At the far end of the hall stood a mirror. In it, Rahim saw the bride, behind him. He turned. No one. When he looked again, she was closer. Her veil lifted slightly, revealing hollow eyes. Her lips moved, whispering words he couldn't understand. The mirror fogged up, and on the glass appeared fresh fingerprints, small, delicate, and wet with blood. Rahim stumbled back, but his feet sank into something soft. The floor beneath him was no longer wood. It was mud, thick and cold. From the corners of the hall, voices rose, men crying, metal twisting, engines groaning. He saw flashes, wrecked trucks, shattered glass, men slumped over steering wheels, all with red garlands in their laps. The bride stepped closer in the mirror. "You brought me home," she said. "Now stay." The lanterns flickered out. The sound of waves crashed closer, louder, until it felt as if the sea itself had broken into the house. When dawn came, Rahim's truck was found near Karachi's coastal highway, door locked from the inside. The seat beside him was empty, but a red bridal veil lay neatly folded where the passenger had been. Police recorded the death as cardiac arrest. Locals knew better, because that night, truckers passing by swore they saw a woman in red, standing near the same broken haveli. She was holding jasmine flowers waiting for another ride. The morning after Rahim's death, the police sealed the case and left the wreck where they found it. But the highway did not stay quiet for long. Within days, truckers started reporting strange signals on their radios. A woman's faint voice calling for help between bursts of static, the same voice repeating the same words. "Please, take me to my wedding house." Each time, the message came from the same stretch of road between the old salt factory and the cliffs, the place where Rahim had vanished. Local drivers stopped taking that route at night. They swore the air there felt heavy, that the sea roared louder than anywhere else. Yet, no matter how many avoided it, someone always passed through, thinking the stories were just village gossip. One such man was Imtiaz, a new driver who laughed at the superstition. "Ghost bride my foot," he said. "I've hauled loads from Balochistan to Gwadar. Nothing scares me." That night, he took the route alone. The wind was sharp, the sky empty. Around midnight, his truck's engine began to choke. He pulled over, checked under the hood. Nothing wrong. Then, in the rearview mirror, he saw her, a woman in red, standing by the road, holding a wilted garland. His heart skipped. "No," he whispered. But his hand, trembling, reached for the door handle. He didn't remember opening it. The next thing he knew, she was beside him, silent, her eyes hidden behind a red veil. "My wedding house," she said softly. Imtiaz tried to speak, but his throat closed. The air turned icy. The truck moved by itself, headlights slicing through fog that now covered the entire road. The speedometer climbed, though his foot was off the pedal. The radio came alive, the same humming Rahim had heard, the same old song. As the truck thundered forward, the fog parted to reveal something impossible. Dozens of trucks, crashed and burned, lined along both sides of the road like tombstones. Inside each, the driver's seat was empty except for a red veil. Imtiaz screamed, slamming the brakes. The truck skidded, swerving toward the edge of the cliff. He turned to the woman. She lifted her veil. Her face was not human. Pale. Empty eyes. A mouth sewn shut with black thread. The truck plunged. The next morning, nothing was found. No wreckage, no blood, just tire marks leading toward the sea and a single garland of jasmine floating on the waves. Over the years, the story became legend. Truckers call that stretch of road Dulhan Point. They say if you pass by near midnight, you'll see her in the distance, standing by the roadside, veil fluttering in the wind, waiting. Some believe she was a real bride, killed on her wedding night in a car crash decades ago. Others say she was buried alive by her husband's family, her spirit cursed to wander until someone completes her final journey. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: no one who stops survives. Locals still tell newcomers, if you ever see a bride on the Karachi Coastal Highway, don't stop, don't look, and don't listen. Because if you do, she will climb in. And once she's inside, you'll never reach your destination.